Welcome to the Running Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're running back The Breakfast Club.
You sound so thrilled.
It was better than I remember.
Had you actually seen it, or are you just
I'd seen it.
Talking shit for no reason?
I've seen it.
You like all those Amazon people you hate, all those review people you hate? You just talking shit?
No, if I talk shit, it's going to be for a reason. You'll see.
Really?
Breakfast Club is from 1985. We watched it. What did we watch it on? Google. Like always, we've watched the movie. Now we haven't played on mute in the background. So what you got?
So, it obviously takes place at Shermer High School in Shermer, Illinois, where all of John Hughes movies take place.
So all these kids could potentially know each other?
Well, no, because a lot of the kids are the same kids.
Well, I know, but technically...
Like, Molly Ringwald's like 5 of the kids.
I know, but she's 5 different kids.
Right.
But those 5 different kids could technically know each other in that universe.
Yeah.
They're just
similar. It's a complete, contained universe. That's where Kevin Smith got it from.
John Hughes Cinematic Universe?
Yes, that's where Kevin Smith got it from, was the universe he created. Mm-hmm.
What song does it open up on? Don't You Forget About Me. Which to me gave me automatic Vice City vibes. For whatever reason.
Just 80 vibes.
Now, I like the quote they had from David Bowie's beginning. Did you write that down?
No, did you?
No.
You want me to rewind this?
Yeah. It was a good one. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through.
So did you notice right here that the janitor in the movie has his picture on the wall as Man of the Year when he was like a senior in high school?
I did not know that was the janitor, but he is one of the best characters in the movie, even though it's very...
The janitor is the best saved Man of the Year.
One of the
Carl
best...
Reed, 1969.
He's one of the best characters in the movie, even though he's just in there a little bit here and there.
I guess. So here you have your first problematic scene, which you later find out to be John Bender's locker, that says, "Open this locker and you die, fag," with a noose hanging from it.
Yeah, it's very,
There's a lot of
very odd.
Real problematic scenes in the movie. If we're going to judge this by 2020 standards, or really just, human decency standards.
Human decency.
Yeah, it's bad times.
I like that they kind of open up and Brian's kind of narrating a little bit, and you later find out that's his essay he has to write today.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that. But each kid has been given detention for one reason or another, and it shows, them being dropped off, or in John Bender's case, him just walking.
Right.
And you get a little bit of glimpse, you get a little bit of how you think their family life might be in each one of these.
Claire goes first, played by Molly Ringwald, and she's dropped off in a BMW, and she really doesn't want to be there, and her dad tells her that it doesn't make her defective or anything's wrong with her because she skipped school to go shopping. It's totally fine. And then Brian, played by Michael Anthony Hall, gets dropped off, and his mom is pissed. It's his mom and his sister. And she's like, "Is this the first time or the last time?" He's like, "This is the last time, Mom. I'm sorry, Slayer." She's like, "Then go there and make something of your day." He's like, "We're not allowed to study. We just have to sit." She's like, "You figure out how to study." Then you get Andrew, the jock, played by Emilio Estevez. And his dad's like, "Hey, buddy, ain't nothing wrong with messing around and goofing off, and it's fine, and I did it too. You just go in there and have a day."
Yeah, but he's also talking about, kind of gives him a hard time because He doesn't want him to lose his rod because
Right. He says
of being a disciplinary case.
He said they don't give scholarships to disciplinary cases, and they've edited it out. But originally it said not to white ones, at least.
Wow. What, 85?
Yeah.
Wow.
1985. And we'll circle back to this in just a second, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce this last one. Allison gets dropped off by her parents, and they say absolutely nothing to her. And she walks up to the window to, say goodbye, and they just speed away. Yeah. And then you see Bender walk in on his own. Now, to circle back to they don't give scholarships to disciplinary cases, not white ones at least, it personally reminded me of that announcer, I think it was, that said Notre Dame needed to lower their academic standards. No,
it wasn't an announcer. It was a Notre Dame, alumni booster.
Needed to lower their academic standards to get more people, talent. More talent. Yeah.
Which was completely incorrect, because you can find talent of any color if you wanted to. That made good grades and played sports well.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was just the stereotypical old white quote.
Oh yeah. But you also get a little glimpse into their family, because I don't know if you noticed their license plates.
E = MC squared.
Brian's family's license plate was E = MC squared, and then Andrew's family's license plate was Ohio State.
It's weird.
A little weird for Illinois, right? So they're all in the library. And the principal comes in. Do you have what the principal's last name is? Because it is
Vernon.
Escaping me.
I thought his name was Richard for the longest time.
Because he calls him Dick?
Yeah. Is it Richard Vernon?
Richard Vernon.
So that's why he keeps calling him Dick.
Yeah. So Principal Vernon comes in, just leisure suit Larry, very 80s fashion.
Not so much leisure suit. It's the fact that it's unbuttoned a little bit and it's got the big old lapel collar.
Lapels. But Bender, who is your troublemaker, gets his first extra detention of the day by asking if Barry Manilow knows that he stole his suit.
Yeah. Vernon comes in and he gives everybody directions to write a 1,000-word essay on who they think they are.
Right, which is a weird topic, right?
And gives them one sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how small you write, but there's no way 1,000 words go on that one sheet of paper.
Front and back.
No.
You don't think?
No.
I don't know.
Handwritten, a couple pages. Front and back.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I hand wrote
anything.
Anything, really. So, Allison's in the back. She's the
basket case.
Yeah, but she's kind of like a loner, outcast, weirdo kind of situation. She's dressed all in black.
Well, they were all labeled.
Right, she was labeled as the basket case. She is biting her fingernails so loud, but it sounds like she's breaking bone.
Maybe she just has thick nails and they're in a library and it's like a big.
She got does she need the Lamisil for the Lamisil monster? Or?
I don't know. But you got Brian is the brain. The athlete is Andrew. Mm-hmm. The princess is Claire. The basket case was Allison. And the criminal is Bender. Or right. John Bender.
Bender's fine. So, speaking of Bender, they're alerted this room. The principal tells them the door has to stay open. Principal leaves and he's like, wait, what if we have to go pee? And he just, starts unzipping his zipper, threatening to pee right there in the library. And as he does throughout the whole movie, Andrew is kind of the only one that stands up to him and stops him.
Yeah.
Bender's trying to get them to get on board with closing the door. And nobody's into it, and he's like, hey, Brian, why don't you come help me close the door and we'll impregnate the prom queen?
Yeah. So he threatened to rape her at that point.
A lot of the reviews are like, did he seriously just threaten to gang rape this girl?
Yeah, he's very much the, I'm going to say shit for the shock value.
It's definitely, that's all it is, because he's very much, I think, an afraid little kid.
Yeah.
He's just masking it with this tough talk. He's the oldest one in real life he was 26 when this movie was filmed. He looks like a 26-year-old man. Like, he looks like the narc that they sent in the high school to
he just looks
infiltrate.
Just a little bit older than
he has a gray streak.
I actually think it was blue at one point.
It looks like a gray streak. Anyway, he threatens to gang rape Claire, and that's when Andy gets all in his face and tells him he doesn't even matter, he doesn't count. If he was gone, nobody would even know. And then you get faggot number 2. Something said for the second time.
Which in the 80s, that was kind of like a lot of people shouldn't have used it, but it was just a word you could say that your parents didn't scold you for. It was a cuss word you could say. Because it basically, it was just one F word in place of another.
You had rough parents. Jesus.
Like, so instead of saying fuck, they would say that.
I don't know that you ever used it correctly.
Or instead of calling somebody a bitch, you would say that.
That was a better example.
Or I guess today's word, fuckboy, that would be the replacement for that. But it's, like, it was never okay.
Yeah, it's not cool. Not okay. Run It Back is on record as saying...
We've already been canceled. They're not listening to this part. We
do not support the use of faggot in this movie or any movie or in real life ever.
We're just pointing out, folks. We got 3.
Talking about the difference.
Or was that the one you said?
That was the one I just mentioned.
And then, Bender, after Andrew calls Bender a fag, he says, I have such admiration for guys who roll around on the floor with other guys.
Right.
Kind of throwing it back at him.
He says he could be him. All he needs is a lobotomy and some tights.
Yeah.
Because he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
I don't think we've mentioned. They said that they were going to make him a football player, but they decided that too many movies had that, so they went with wrestler.
Yeah. Well, it's weird that they didn't make Claire a cheerleader.
You don't know that she's not.
You kind of do. Like, she's not real. I feel like Claire feels like she's above cheerleading.
I could see that.
Yeah. So then Bender fixes the door. He takes...
By fixes, do you mean breaks?
He breaks the door. He takes a screw out, which holds the door open and it shuts. Apparently, this door is the heaviest door known to man. Because it, like, slams shut.
Yeah, it does.
Kapow.
But here's my issue with this. Like, the principal comes back in and, like, throws a fit because the door's shut, and he immediately knows Bender did it. And even though he's been a dirtbag to everybody so far, everybody takes up for him. Like, the principal's in his face trying to get the screw back, and Claire's like, why would somebody steal a screw?
I can explain that a little bit. It's an us versus them mentality.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Even though
he threatened to rape her a minute ago.
They're a group of us's from 5 different groups of thems. And since they are grouped together, one of their people was being harassed and they all kind of grouped together to save him, and he doesn't expect it. You can kind of see how he looks.
Yeah.
That they actually kind of kept it kosher.
Right.
But people will do that. They have a team mentality. And even though this is a very fucked up team,
it is definitely a ragtag team.
In the beginning, it's definitely a fucked up team. Because there's no chemistry, and nobody really knows each other.
There's no real chemistry until they get high.
Yeah. I was going to say something, though.
But here's my issue with this.
Oh.
So they try several methods. They try, like, a little flimsy folding chair to keep the door open, and then he makes Andrew help him move a bookcase to keep it open.
But then
Bender
points out that's a fire code violation.
Right, so he has
and then
to
he starts yelling at Andrew for putting it there.
He's like, I would expect more from a Letterman athlete. But at the bottom of this door, isn't there the little kickstand that you kick out to keep it open?
Yeah.
Like, that's all they had to do, right? Was kick that kickstand out?
That's not you wouldn't have the movie if it wasn't for this.
But why wouldn't they use a door without a kickstand on it?
Or they can unscrew the whole thing.
Like, why would...
Just oversight.
It's bothering me real bad.
It's kind of like how the ice bothered me in G.I. Joe. Ice doesn't sink like that.
It does when it's exploded.
But it rises back up.
Oh my God.
It doesn't
It would have
crash.
eventually.
It does not crash to the bottom like a meteorite.
It would have risen back up. It was pushed down at a rate that it was not ready to rub. Go ahead.
I have a funny story about doors being slammed shut. Should I tell it?
If you're vague.
Okay. So when I was in high school, this teacher that I liked had an issue with a certain student that was basically just causing problems, being an ass. And he basically kicked him out of class. But on the way out to talk to this kid in the hallway, he went to slam a door, but the door had hydraulic hinges, so it kept the door from slamming. The door would always pull shut. It would never stay open, and that's what that was there for. And when he went to slam it, the pressure kicked back and it opened back up. And it was one of the funniest things I have ever seen, because it was a really tense moment. And at one point, you're like, this kid is not above fighting this guy. Like, we're going to have to step between them. Like, and it's one of those moments where there's a few people on the front row, like, leaning toward the edge of their seat. Not because this was exciting, because they knew they were about to have to stop a fight to keep this guy from getting assaulted. Like, and when he slammed the door, everybody starts laughing.
Didn't it slam almost closed and then swing back open?
Oh yeah, it like the pressure.
Like he slammed it with some intensity.
Hard. He slammed hard. You heard like a little. I'm pretty sure his thing was broken from then on.
Probably.
But he was also the same guy when you were taking a test would cut a hole in a newspaper. Like, I'm talking, if you hold your fingers out, just hold your palm up, like your whole hand would fit through, and he would look, and he would sit there looking through it like everybody else didn't know the hole was there. It was hilarious.
But he was trying to be funny.
He was, but he kept a straight face the whole time. He never once cracked a smile.
I just want it known that he's not stupid.
I know
was trying to be funny.
But the looks on other people's faces... He never cracked a smile. And I'm not meaning, when he pulled the paper out. I'm talking, we had 1.5 hour classes.
Yeah.
We would take the test and it would be like a half hour, 40 minutes for the test, the last half of the class. The entire time, he's just moving this thing like a periscope. Just straight-faced as can be. No smile, no cracks of a smile, no ha-ha, nothing. End of the test, he'd put the paper down, fold it up. He probably reused that same paper every time. It was hilarious. Anyway, Bender fixes the door.
Yeah, so they decide the magazine rack isn't going to work, so they just leave the door closed.
This is where Principal and Bender get into it, and Bender ends up getting like 2 months of extra.
He just keeps saying, like, do you want more? And he's like, yeah. And he won't stop. Claire tells him to stop, and he looks at her and kind of softens for a moment, and then he's like, go on! Like, he just won't shut the fuck up. Like, he's just trying to be hard for these kids.
I think a little bit of it was a show for the other kids, and the other part of it was if he's not at home, he's not subjected to whatever.
That's true, too. But
like, if he has a reason to have to go to school, hey, I have to go to school, I can't be here.
The principal says, next time I have to come in here, I'm cracking skulls. I was like, oh, you not be threatening students.
He says a lot of shit that you can't.
Yeah.
Can't say to kids.
But also, he could hear them kind of talking before he came in when the door initially shut. He could hear them, like, saying, like, shut up, sit down, quiet. When he walks out, Bender screams, fuck you, at the top of his lungs. He definitely heard that shit. He just, like, chose not to do anything.
What if you look when he said, next time I'm coming in here and I'm going to crack some skulls, and he walks out, it's almost like he heard that, but it's almost like he regretted saying it because he kind of looked up and took a deep breath.
Yeah. So, they're just all sitting there.
Bored.
Bender has lit his shoe on fire
to light
with a
cigarette.
match and then uses his shoe to light a cigarette. But Claire is just watching him in amazement.
Maybe she's a pyro.
Like, it's weird. I don't think that was it.
She's redheaded. She could be
like,
a pyro.
she was into it. It was weird. And then it pans over to Brian, who, am I correct, was trying to hide an erection?
Yes. He was staring at Claire.
Oh. Because he like, keeps grabbing at the crotch of his pants, and then he grabs, like,
a glove,
a scarf or a toboggan or something and puts it in his lap. It was weird. But eventually they all just fall asleep.
Well, before they fall asleep, the basket case, Allison has drawn a picture and is making, she noticed her dandruff falls on the picture and she starts making snow.
Yeah. They use Parmesan cheese to make that dandruff.
That's good.
Better than real dandruff,
Some
right?
people just have dry skin, I guess.
Yeah. That's a lot of dry skin, though, eh?
Yep.
Yep. But everybody falls asleep. The principal comes back in. Everybody's out. It's bathroom time. They didn't really show him going to the bathroom, though.
No.
There's a deleted scene where everybody goes, and it did more and more, but apparently this movie was originally 2.5 hours long.
I could see it being longer. There was never a part where I was like, Jesus, get on with it.
It was two.
Like, it was
2.5
pretty
hours long.
Pretty straight to the point.
They said it was too long. There are no copies of it. There's one copy. John Hughes had it. Now his widow has it and won't tell anybody where it is.
She can make so much money, like, doing an uncut.
But he didn't want it out there, so...
Okay, well, he's dead now.
Oh my God, if I die first, do what I wish.
I will, but nobody knows that he didn't want that copy out there.
Yeah, because he lived for a fuck ass ever and he never released it. He didn't want it out there.
Oh, I bet. I
bet it was worse.
I bet the uncut part has a
He
little...
was about to get canceled.
A little more, risque.
Could be.
They start to talk about
They come
their
back
parents.
from the bathroom, and Bender's... They're all up from their seats, moving around. Bender's ripping up a book, just like page by page, ripping it up and throwing it in the air, which seems like unneedingly...
Yeah, he's just destroying shit just to destroy
destructive, yeah.
It's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessary.
Now, I've meant to look up who Moliere was.
No, we don't.
Moliere.
I don't know. I'm uncultured swine.
I thought he had a cookbook when he said mole.
Is a French playwright.
Who wrote plays.
Yep, French ones.
Something about King Louis.
Don Juan.
Anyway.
The Imaginary Cuckold.
That's a porn category now.
Forced Marriage.
Oh, I think that's a porn category too. Did he have 1800s Pornhub?
I don't know. Oh, Lord. But anyway, they start kind of talking about their families, like you said. Claire starts talking about how her parents use her to get back at each other. Because Brian invited her, Andrew invited her to a party. He asked her if she was grounded. She's like, I don't know. My mom said I was, but my dad told me to blow her off. And was like, so cool, you want to go to the party? She's like, probably not. Because if I do what dad says instead of what mom says, it turns into a whole big thing with them. And she's like, I don't even think they care about me. They just use me to get back at each other. To which Allison, the first syllable she's uttered.
Ha!
Yeah.
Kind of just freaks everybody the fuck out.
Yeah.
That this mute bitch in the back is just yelling at him.
Yeah, it's real weird. And then Bender starts telling her how Claire is a fat girl name. And she's like, I'm not fat. He's like, no, but you're destined to be fat. He's like, there's fat girls that have always been fat, and then there's fat girls that used to be skinny, and you could kind of still see the skinny girl inside of them.
It's a real fucked up thing to say to a teenage girl.
He was like, you're going to get married and have a couple of kids and just balloon up. Yeah, that's a rough one. And then, like teenagers do, he becomes very interested in if she's a virgin or not.
Yeah.
For the first time, because it is a running theme. But he keeps harassing her. He asks if she's a virgin. And then he keeps asking, like, how, he was like, have you ever kissed a boy? Have you ever, like, been felt up? Have you ever did this? But, like, really descriptive scenarios. Until finally Andy jumps in and tells him to shut the fuck up and leave her alone. And then they get into a little fight.
Yeah. Well, Andy's... it's like he's a good guy, but he's also one of those people who's just... Their fuse has been lit, but it's been put out, and it's just so close to the gunpowder. Like, he's just itching to fight somebody at this point. Yeah. I
think he's just tired of Bender's shit.
He is, but he's too quick to...
He's defending her honor.
Yeah, but he's very standoffish, and maybe it's just Bender.
Mm-hmm.
But he just wants to punch him in the face, and you can tell.
Well, yeah. But they get into a little fight, and he kind of does some wrestling move and throws him to the ground. And he's like, I don't want to get into this with you, man.
Really wrestling move. He just gets him in a chicken wing and shoves him down. Like, that's more of a bouncer move. Or NHL ref move. Okay. You swing their arm around, trip them, they fall.
Anyway, Bender's like, I don't want to get into this with you. I would kill you. And they kept going back and forth, like, yeah, right, whatever. And then Bender just whips out this switchblade and stabs it into a desk.
Which Allison immediately takes away. Like, she takes it in excitement. She leans over and is like, ooh. And she wiggles it out and just kind of, she's looking at it as she comes over, and nothing ever happens. So that's probably a deleted scene, too. But, she is a klepto.
Yeah. It was Judd Nelson's real-life switchblade.
Hmm.
Which, aren't those illegal?
No, I don't think anymore. I don't know why it's...
Okay, it's 1985.
I always heard they were, but I never understood the reason. I was like, I've seen people pull out pocket knives, and they're not much slower.
Yeah. Alright, so that all diffuses and calms down, and then I have the janitor coming in. Do you have anything before the janitor?
No, I got the janitor.
So he comes in, says hi to Brian. I feel like Brian might be the kind of kid that, like, eats his lunch with the janitor.
Probably eats his lunch. Janitor probably knows his group of people. I feel like his group of people are the respectful kids that don't fucking throw shit in the floor beside the trash can.
You also got to
clean up after themselves.
The janitor's probably smart because he was man of the year when he was a senior in high school.
He's probably in the physics club or the math club.
So he's probably helping with something.
Mentors, yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Mm-hmm. But Bender starts giving him shit, asking what it takes to be a janitor, that Andrew would like to study the custodial arts. Just being a dick.
Yeah.
And he was like, y'all walk all over me because you don't see me. He's like, you don't see that I hear all of your conversations. I go through your lockers. I read your notes. I see your trash. Bender gets real nervous when he says, I go through your lockers.
Yeah. But he's kind of the embodiment of true happiness. Like, he's doing a job that most people would look down on, but he's happy with what he's doing. It seems like. He's happy with what he's got. The janitor.
How do you get that?
The way he is throughout the whole movie. And right there.
I don't know.
Like, he called Bender out on his shit. He's like, but I feel like he's happy in his life and he's content.
I didn't really get that, but I'll go with you.
Because he was just like, he's emptying the trash and he's just kind of, he's got a little radio there. He's kind of dancing. Kids making fun of him. It didn't really, he said something. He popped back, but
I don't know if he's content in his life, but I think he's past a whole lot of the bullshit. Because he calls all the kids and later the principal out on all their bullshit.
Yeah. He also...
You think he's just woke?
Woke. Anybody with that amount of life experience has a little bit of wokeness.
Alright, so the principal comes in. Janitor leaves. Principal comes in and says it's lunchtime. They're going to eat their lunch there. They want to go to the cafeteria instead. I don't know, change the scenery. Bender's like, will milk be provided for us? It was like, I'm quite parched. And then Claire, for some reason, chimes in that she's very nasty when she gets dehydrated. And
as far as them.
On and on and on. And finally, he's like, there's a pop machine in the teacher's lounge and sends Andrew and Allison together. So they're walking down the hall. Very odd couple. Andrew's trying to make conversations like, so, what do you like to drink? What's your poison? And she doesn't say anything for a long time, and then finally she shouts out, vodka! Which is her very first actual word of the entire movie. 35 minutes in before she speaks.
Yep. He asks her, what does he ask her, when or how often? She's like, all the time? Or how much?
Yeah, as often as possible or something like that. So they kind of start talking about their shit. He says, is that why you're here? She says no, right? I can't remember what she says to that.
She doesn't really
question.
say anything.
But she asks why he's here. And he said, I'm here because I'm a gifted athlete and I don't want to disappoint my dad and my coach. And they both think I'm gifted, so I'm above the law. Kind of like more should have happened to me than this.
Yeah.
And she's like, cut your bullshit, why are you here? And he was like, nothing, never mind, never answers her. He said, he's like a racehorse. He's about as involved as what's happening to him as a horse would be. So you can tell he's not real happy with his jock situation.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of basically natural talent, and he feels like one of those kids that's pushed all the time in one thing. Like they play football, basketball, baseball year round in different leagues because their parents want them to do good, whatever.
Right. I feel like now it's not play basketball and football and baseball. I feel like parents kind of have their kids. I feel like that's the way to go. If you want to be multiple sports. But now it's like, oh, they like football. So they're going to play for the school during the fall, and then they'll play for this travel team, and then they'll do this, and then they'll do that. But it's football all the time, or it's baseball all the time, which has been shown to wear the kid out mentally on the sport and to wear their bodies out. Like, it puts the exact same strain on the exact same joints day after day, time after time, for years. So you're thinking, oh, I'm doing so good. My kid's going to get this scholarship to college because they're going to be a world-class baseball player. But by the time they get to college, they got like Tommy John. Like the fucked up
21-year-old the other day. But yeah, you got to change it up. And I think as far as the burnout goes, a lot of the times if you play the same sport, you're with the same team or the same kids all the time, and you get trapped into that group.
Right.
And some people don't want to be... Like, if you're around the same person enough, you get tired of that person sometimes.
Yeah.
So you get a break with the different seasons, the different sports.
So while they're gone getting drinks, Bender's just kind of giving Brian a hard time. He calls him a cherry. So he's talking about his virginity now. He's very obsessed with everybody's virginity.
Yeah. I think he just wants the shock value to embarrass somebody.
He was like, I am not. And he was like, oh, so you've had sex? He was like, yeah, I've had a lot of sex. She's Canadian. I met her at Niagara Falls. I was like, oh, look at you and your Canadian girlfriend. But he was like, any girls not from Canada? And he kind of like moves his head towards Claire, which, obvious law.
Well, I think he was just like, hey, not in front of her.
That wasn't it.
No, you wouldn't lie about somebody right in the room. Not to that guy.
He was trying. He didn't think he was going to get called out on it. But he does. He's like, oh, so you and Claire, huh?
I think it was more like, hey, shut up.
Either way. Anyway, we go to lunchtime. You got anything at lunchtime?
So they brought back Cokes.
Mm-hmm. I have what everybody had for lunch if
I do too.
Need that information. Claire
has sushi.
And Bender asked what it is, and she said sushi. It's raw fish and rice and seaweed. He was like, you won't accept a guy's tongue in your mouth, but you'll eat that? And she's like, can I just eat my lunch? He's like, you can try. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very... Anybody that we've met that's never had sushi kind of sounds the same way. But if they try it, they usually like it.
Well, I kind of feel like, especially in the 80s, in high school,
yeah,
and Bender clearly isn't, getting out much. So, Andrew had a bag of chips, a bag of cookies, and when I say a bag of cookies, I mean like a grocery store big-ass bag of cookies, 3 sandwiches, milk, and by milk I mean like a half a gallon of milk.
Yep.
A banana and an apple.
And a Coke.
And a Coke. He's a growing boy.
You know what that sounds like to me?
What does that sound like to you?
That's a big lunch.
That is Jason doing
Kenan Thompson
Big Papi doing Big Papi.
That's a big lunch.
You did not disappoint.
Can I have a fungo?
Molly had sushi. Allison, she had a sandwich with like some kind of olive loaf.
Let me tell you what she had. Okay.
Diabetes?
A little bit. So she had the olive loaf. She rips that off. It had cheese, olive loaf, and I'm guessing mayonnaise. Because she poured like 3 pixie sticks on there.
Well, she tosses all that off. She tosses the olive loaf off.
I said that. She tossed the olive loaf. So she pours like 3 pixie sticks on there. She added Captain Crunch. So she had a Captain Crunch pixie stick sandwich.
Yes, she did.
What the hell?
I don't know.
And mayonnaise. Some kind of mayonnaise or Miracle Whip.
She's an odd duck, man.
So, let's put this out there. Let's have people fight about this. You are a
Miracle Whip.
And I'm mayonnaise.
Yes, you are.
I do not like Miracle Whip at all. I would almost not eat the sandwich because it has Miracle Whip on it.
So here's another fun fact. Even though mayonnaise, now that I do the grocery shopping, mayonnaise is more expensive than Miracle Whip, in my head,
it's white trash.
It's white trash.
But I've noticed when you eat something that's white trash,
it has to have regular
mayonnaise on it.
Like, I am all about this sandwich. When I'm allowed to eat carbs, it has to be white bread, mayonnaise, a layer of chips, white ruffle chips, plain ruffle chips, some kind of plain, like, Kroger brand specifically, cheese food, 2 slices, another layer of chips, more mayonnaise on the other slice of bread, and then squish that shit together, and I call that a white trash sandwich.
Whenever we do fried bologna, if we're eating carbs,
I also like that with mayonnaise. Too. Yeah.
It's real weird.
But if I'm eating like some good ass deli meat or something, I need Miracle Whip.
Shitty ass Miracle Whip on there.
It's delicious. No. I don't know how you don't like it. It has a little zing to it. It has paprika in it. It's delicious.
No, mayonnaise is so much better.
I don't know why.
Put a poll out.
I don't know why in my head it's white trash food. Like, I associate it as a poorer food.
Is it more expensive? Mayonnaise is more expensive. Why?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it's made with real stuff?
Well, it's made with real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why, but it is.
Anyway, back to the big lunch.
So Allison had the Pixie Stick and Captain Crunch cereal sandwich. Bender had nothing. Although I do think he kind of probably ate Brian's lunch. It doesn't really show it, but I'm confident.
Why didn't he have one of Emilio Estevez's 3 sandwiches?
Yeah, Emilio, Oh,
you forgot the 3 sandwiches.
No, I didn't. I said it. Yeah, Andrew definitely could have thrown him, like, a sandwich and, like, half of that milk, one of those fruits, some of his carbs. He could have had, like, 7 cookies and it wouldn't even been half the bag.
They both could have got full on.
Oh, yeah. Brian had soup in a nice little thermos, a sandwich with peanut butter and jam, and an apple juice.
Other than the apple juice, soup and peanut butter sandwich doesn't sound right to me.
It doesn't sound quite right, yeah.
Maybe eat the soup a little while later, get hungry. So then they start to talk about family life, like while Bender's going through Brian's lunch. Yeah. He's like, you know what I bet a day in your house is like? And then kind of reenacts it.
Life at Big Bry's house.
Yeah.
And he reenacts like this very Norman Rockwell-esque situation. A bunch of golly gees and well shucks and let's go on a fishing trip. You can do your homework on the boat.
And then they get it like a jab and he like punches one of them.
Well, Andrew thought it was funny and he was laughing the whole time. Towards the end. And then he looks at Brian's face and like it's clearly bothering Brian. So then he has to stand up for him too. And he says, if you know so much, what's life like at your house?
Yeah.
Which, he doesn't flinch, he just starts reenacting, and then the movie gets real sad.
Yeah. Well, then Andrew's like, that's bullshit, you're lying, blah, blah, blah. And then Bender shows him a scar from like a
where his dad
cigar
put a
burn.
cigar out on him because he spilled paint in the garage. And then he gets all in his feelings and was like, I'm not sitting with y'all anymore, and knocks a bunch of shit off and runs up the stairs and hangs out by himself.
Edge, yeah.
And Claire yells at Andrew that he shouldn't have said that. He's like, how was I supposed to know? Lies about everything else.
Yep.
But dude, I mean, I guess when you're in high school you don't know, but like now looking back on it, like you can look back at those kids that definitely were assholes because they were having a rough life.
Even the people you thought had the perfect life didn't have perfect life.
Well, I feel like
nobody has that normal life.
I feel like that's what the movie...
Or very few people.
I feel like at its core, that's what the movie's about. Like, it talks about, like, you know, we're all the same, blah, blah, blah. But really, the people you think had a perfect life didn't. You all had the same basic problems. All of your home lives were fucked. You all had issues of one kind or another. Like, our nephew will tell us, like, so-and-so has the best parents and the greatest home and everything's great and wonderful and they don't have any problems. And I'm like, no. They tell you that, but they have problems. They have issues. Like, their shit's not okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's shit is perfect.
So then they escape from the library. They go on a journey. They find out, eventually they're on a journey to get weed from Bender's locker.
Right. Which
he kept in 3 different paper bags.
Well, you gotta keep that odor down. The first paper bag had been soaked in, like, grease or something, too.
Something. It looked like a Five Guys fry bag.
It did.
Like a couple days old.
Yeah.
It's had enough time to soak up all that peanut oil.
Mm-hmm.
Five Guys. So they get this weed out of his locker.
And then they're trying to make their way back to the library before the principal gets back.
Yeah. So then you have the 80s Scooby-Doo hallway montage.
There you go. Now, would you say it was a Scooby-Dooby-Doo situation?
Oh, wow. This is only going to get worse from here, folks. It was.
They had to go get the weed, man. That was a Scooby-Dooby-Doo situation.
You explaining it makes it worse.
I didn't know it could get worse.
So they're running through, and then there's a difference of opinion on how they should get back. Bender says one way. Andrew says, no, we got to go this way. And most of the group goes with Andrew, and he ends up going with him. They end up finding one of the gates that locks part of the school off.
Right.
So they can't get back that way. They got to run back the other way. They realize basically they're fucked. And Andrew says, no, just me. You all go back. I'll get it. So he starts reciting this Army Ranger like song, chant, and just he's banging on lockers, ripping stuff down the hallway, like slamming the locks, making as much noise as possible so that Principal Vernon goes his direction.
Right. He totally sacrificed
throughout
himself.
the 80s montage, they're barely missing Vernon through the hallways this whole time.
Before he sacrifices himself, though, he takes his bag of weed and shoves it down Brian's pants.
Yes. So he shoves down Brian's pants. So they haul ass back to the library while he's a distraction.
Right.
And he takes a large punishment for his distraction.
Well, he goes to the gym and is playing basketball. That's where the principal finds him. And the principal's yelling at him. He runs out of one of his shoes and just leaves it in the gym.
Well, no. When he got to the gym, he found some shoes and he only changed the one.
No, he's always had on 2 different shoes.
No.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Yeah. No, he changed shoes. His boot and his jacket were laying on the baseline.
Oh.
Yeah. So he changed shoes.
Jacket. I didn't see him.
When he left, he kicked the other shoe off. I don't know whose shoes he's got. So, but I thought that was funny that he put on his one athletic shoe.
He says, you don't even want to hear my excuse? I'm thinking about trying out for a scholarship.
Yeah. Principal takes him back to get his shit from the library.
Guys, I have to talk about this. it is storming so hard here. And our Puggle is terrified. And she's sitting on my lap with her head on my arm with my hoodie on. She looks like a little tiny E.T. on my arm. She is so cute. Oh my god, I just want to squish her.
She does not want you to squish her.
Oh my god. Lay down.
So, he takes Bender back to get his stuff in the library. Says, y'all are going to be without his company for the rest of the day or something. Bender gets all his stuff. The principal locks Bender in a closet in the basement.
He sits back down in the library and he says, you think this was so funny, like you did when you pulled the fire alarm to get you here. So that's why he's there. And he said, what if your family was on fire? What if your dope was on fire? And he was like, oh, that's impossible. It's in Brian's underwear.
And Brian's like, oh fuck, oh fuck,
he sits straight up. Everybody cracks up laughing. He's like, that's not funny.
But it was.
It was funny. He was like, you're nothing but a bum. Let's visit you in 5 years and see what you're going to be. You're not going to be anything. And then he takes him to that closet and really threatens him, like gets in his face and says he'll kick his ass. He just needs him to start it. Tries to get Bender to hit him. He was like, go ahead. I can fuck you up. Nobody's going to believe you. I was like, God damn.
You can almost see that kind of hit home with Bender. Like, that's his usual. Because he was keeping a straight face, but you can kind of see in his eyes he looked a little bit scared.
He was broken inside, man. It fucked him up.
But basically said, I'm going to see you in 5 years and I'm going to whip your ass. He was like, I'll be there. Yeah. But at that point, I was like, this dude's gone off the rails.
Oh,
he's somebody that shouldn't have ever got a position of power over anybody.
Yeah.
And
I think he may have just been at this job for too long.
No, he was never supposed to be in that job.
You don't think?
No, anybody that would react that way cannot handle the power over people. Like, if I talk to my coworkers like that, I would be fired.
You do fake fire them a lot.
They know I'm joking. Mostly. I'm usually joking. But when they talk about people who shouldn't be in that position, those are all the accidents you see.
Oh, if he was a cop, he would just be shooting people.
Yeah, he'd be Yosemite Sam and people all over.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't be around kids that he's going to get mad and threaten. Like, I shouldn't be teaching kids.
No, you should not.
Because I don't have the patience.
No, you do not.
I wouldn't go as far as him.
You don't have patience for one.
But I know that. Like, he should know that.
Rest assured, folks, no children in the Run It Back household. That shit has been zipped off. Don't worry.
So, he locks him in that closet.
He does.
Which is not good.
Now what if there's a fire? You really don't care about fire codes, does he?
Basically, has already told him, it's my word against yours. Who's going to believe you? Mm-hmm. You're a bum.
So he stacks up all the furniture in there, climbs up and gets out in the ceiling tile.
He gets so far, and he's telling a joke. This was he's a little bit fucking insane part. He's telling himself a joke out loud.
Well, he's got to, keep up his spirits while he's die-harding through the ceiling.
So he crashes through the end of the library?
Into the library, yeah.
While the principal is taking a dump.
So he's making up that joke as he goes. Like, it wasn't written. There's no end to the joke. He just started riffing with this joke, and they tried to come up with a punchline that he was supposed to say out loud to everybody else when he landed. But nobody could come up with a punchline to it, so he was just like, oh, I forgot my pencil.
But while he forgot his pencil, he asked for his weed back.
Yeah.
So, he gets his dickweed from Brian. And walks kind of to the back of the library, and Andrew's like, no, dude, you ain't smoking up in here.
Before all that, the principal heard the crash where he crashed through the fucking ceiling. Yeah. And comes in and was like, what was that noise? And he hides under the desk that Claire and Andrew are sitting at. And they're all covering for him, like she coughs, and she's like, was that the noise? And on and on and on. But meanwhile, under the desk, she has on a skirt, and he can see her, panty-clad area. And apparently, Yeah. I don't know what he does. His head goes between her knees, and then she kind of
she squeezes
his head. I don't know if he poked her or bit her or
I think she just felt him.
Or
I think she just felt him on her leg.
But it was a little sexual assaulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but the principal leaves, he comes out, and then he gets his weed back and goes to smoke in the back of the...
Yeah. So Andrew's like, no, you're not smoking up in here. And Molly's the first one to break. Claire. Andrew and Brian kind of stare at each other a little bit, and Brian's like, a little bit? And he breaks. He has to zip up his pants.
Yeah.
And then I expected the basket case Allison to break, but she never does.
She does it. She's the last one.
Does she smoke?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that.
Andrew breaks, but that's his issue, is that he can't make his own decisions, and he's a follower and succumbs to peer pressure.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to. He just...
So there, it shows Bender, Brian, and Claire sitting at these chairs in the library smoking.
There are at least 3 joints going around.
Yeah.
Andy has locked himself in the audio visual room and hotboxing himself. Yeah. He opens that thing and it's just, you thought that the glass was opaque, but no, that's just smoke. He's been in there all by himself. He comes out, does a little dance, and then goes back in his little cage.
By little dance, you mean a whole fucking montage, white boy redneck giddy up?
Well, he breaks out into gymnastics, is what he does.
No, that is an insult to gymnastics.
No, because he's jumping over the bookcases and doing flips and shit.
The world's worst.
They all do that other dance later.
It's the world's first worst impression of parkour.
I'll give you that.
Mixed with a bunch of drunk white kids just kind of kicking their legs out weirdly.
So in the meantime, the principal has been caught by the janitor going through the confidential files in the basement.
Yeah, I guess these would be the counselor files that are kind of fall under the protected health information.
Yeah, because he was this person has this, and that. No wonder you're fucking crazy. And yeah. The principal tries to act like if the janitor tells it would affect more than just the principal. So he's a lot of people would be real embarrassed by this. Let's just keep it between me and you. He's what are you going to do for me? He's well, what do you want? He's you got $50? I was Jesus, straight to it.
So while they're smoking their dickweed, the principal and Carl end up just drinking in the basement.
Yeah, where'd they find their beers?
Carl probably brought it.
Could be.
Probably one of the teacher's stash. Old style.
He tells him that the kids turned on him. He's the kids get worse. And the janitor tells him, the kids haven't changed, you've changed. Yeah. You picked this career when you were in college because you were going to get summers and weekends off, and then you found out it was a real job, and now you can't handle it. Straight calls him on his shit.
Yeah. I feel like Carl knows a lot about life.
Yeah. But meanwhile, back with the kids.
What would you do for $1 million?
Oh, no, there's a whole lot before that.
Is there?
Yeah. They ask what Brian's middle name is. And Allison's I know what it is. It's Ralph, as in puke. And then rattles off his, date of birth and his height and his weight and his social security number. And they're are you psychic? And she was no, she stole his wallet. Yeah. And then I guess because everybody had seen his information, it turned into everybody. Let's go through everybody's shit. Because Claire has her purse dumped out. She's over in the corner with Bender. He has her eyebrow comb brushing his teeth with it, which is upsetting. She looks at him and laughs and doesn't stop him, and then later she uses that eyebrow comb on Allison's eyebrows.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. Andrew's looking at Brian's ID and was hey, your fake ID's fucked up, right? You made yourself 68. He's yeah, I goofed it. He's why do you need a fake ID anyway? And he's so I can vote.
Yeah.
So then Allison is like, do you want to see what's in my bag? And everybody's like, no.
Nope.
No. So she dumps it out and it has like all her clothes and like 74 tampons and all kinds of shit. All the shit she's been stealing all day, I'm assuming. And they're like, why do you have all of this? She was like, you never know when you're going to have to get out. And they're like, what? Are you going to be like a bag lady and wear men's shoes and talk to cats? And she's like, I don't have to live on the street. I could live on the beach. I could go anywhere. And they finally are like, what is wrong? And she said her home life is unsatisfying. Brian can't deal with it. He puts Andrew on the job. They go off by themselves, and he's like, he tells her first, everybody's home life is unsatisfying.
Yeah.
But he's like, is it real bad? What do they do to you? And she's like, it's real bad. They ignore me. And he seems to understand. He's like, yeah. But you see that when they drop her off. Because she tries to say goodbye, and they just look straight ahead. They don't move. Roll.
When you look at the grand scheme of things, that doesn't sound like a terrible problem.
But it is.
But it is to somebody who's like a teenager who's still kind of socially developing.
Right.
Like, that's why she's so fucked up socially.
I think it's why a lot of kids now are fucked up, because their parents throw a tablet at them and ignore them.
Yep.
But whatever.
Spend a lot of time online instead of in line.
Mm-hmm. Especially in line, because these kids ain't got no patience. Oof.
Like we were talking about, you said, do you think that's why kids are so messed up today is the instant gratification? Mm-hmm. And we were playing some Mario the other day, and you had to, if you lose your life, like, you have to start the whole game over.
Right.
Like, you don't. Well, we were playing on the Wii, so you kind of can cheat a little bit. But on the old ones, you had to start from the beginning.
Right.
Like, if you started Zelda and didn't keep your Nintendo on and save it and nobody touched it, all that progress was wasted.
I mean, even playing on the Wii, even if you lose all your lives and you continue, you go back to the beginning of that world and all of the lands you've beat reset. Yeah. So...
But things like jump puzzles, people don't do those. Like,
do what?
Jump puzzles.
What's a jump puzzle?
Like in the middle of another game, like in Fallout, if there's a chest somewhere or a stash somewhere that you have to like make a few jumps to get to, be a jump puzzle. You got to figure out how to get up there. Like there was one in Borderlands last night that reminded me. Like you could see the chest at the end of it, but if you lose your life, you lose 10% of your money. So I had like $2 million at that point, so I would have lost $200,000. And I had to think to myself, is it worth it for this chest to not give me anything I want?
Right.
But then I did it just to do it, because basically Mario is a platform jump puzzle. Mario, Sonic, all those.
But this kind of brings us to the movie, because the principal and the janitor are talking about how they're terrified because these kids are going to run the country one day. It's like, when I'm old, these kids are going to be taking care of me. And the janitor's like, I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah.
But I guess that's how every generation feels about the generation below them. Like, this guy's scared of what these kids are in high school in the 80s, or these, it's like Gen X here, about them running the country. We're millennials.
Elder millennials.
We're terrified of this Generation Z running the country later in life. Like, God damn it. So I guess it's a concern every generation has about the generation below them is, holy shit, these fuckers were screwed. Alright, now they're doing, what would you do for $1 million?
What would you do for $1 million?
What wouldn't I do for $1 million?
I was going to say, like, we'd probably be canceled for all the shit we would do for $1 million.
I don't think it even has to be $1 million. I think if you paid off all of our student loans, I mean, I'll take $1 million.
Dude, if you gave us $1 million, we would not be left with much in a month. After paying off like the mortgage,
pay off the mortgage and the car and the student loans, and we're done, folks. We can go to dinner.
But we would feel much happier.
We would.
Like money can't buy happiness, but it fucking helps.
Yeah. Definitely helps.
Like when I was little, I couldn't understand how people bought things.
What do you mean?
Like I was a weird kid anyway, but I
Yeah.
couldn't understand like when you see a commercial for a car, and like at the time, most of them were like, this car is 10,000, 15,000. Occasionally, you might see 20,000. Well, now that's gone up to like 35, 40 is the lower number. But you're like $20,000. Like I saved up for a year. I got like $200. Like, and I'm about to buy like a radio or a game system, something. How do you get $20,000?
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, people have jobs and they make so much fucking money. When I'm going to get a job. No, you don't. Then you get a real job and you're like...
That first job you get and you have to pay taxes and you're like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, because you're like, okay, I make, let's make it simple, $10 an hour. I worked 20 hours this week. I'm going to get $200. You might get 140.
Yeah.
Or 150. So then you start to really wonder, like, how in the hell do people buy this stuff? Because you don't really know about credit and the way
it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. But then you go to a parking lot, let's just say Walmart, and those cars in there, and each one of those cars, most of them are at least over $10,000. You see a lot of them in that $30,000 to $40,000 range. There's millions of dollars in the parking lot. You're like, we don't live in a big town. Didn't used to. Like, where do these people get this money from? If all these people have this much money, why are there poor people?
That's funny. My little stepbrother, when he was little, used to get so excited about the car commercials. He would see some big giant truck that would be like $45,000, but it would say like estimated payment $593 or whatever, or so much down. And he was like, oh, I have that in my bank account right now. I could go get that. Let's go get that truck. I want to buy that truck.
How old was he?
Little.
Why did he have that much money in it?
Because his grandparents started a account and they would put money in it and bonds and savings and CDs, and he's always just...
Man, what? Some people, I guess, luck. That's being born in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I would be happy if I just didn't have student loans.
I would just be happy with no student loans.
Yep. So if somebody can erase all those...
Yeah.
Wasn't Anonymous supposed to do that a while back?
Yeah, they failed us.
Yeah.
Do you think people upped their safeguards after
Mr. Robot?
Mr. Robot came out and erased all the debt? They're like, oh, fucking hell.
It would be fucked up.
It didn't work out so great there.
Well, in order to erase all the debt, they also took away everybody's money.
Yeah, that's a problem. Anyway, where the hell are we?
We are at what would you do for $1 million?
Oh, okay. So Claire asks Andrew if he would drive to school naked for $1 million. And he has a bunch of fucking caveats and questions. Like, bitch, yes. He's like, well, do I have to get out? And she's like, yeah. He's like, is it spring or winter? And she's like, either. Spring. And then he says yes, and she's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. I was like, yeah, you're the rich one. So, Allison chimes in, I would do it. I don't even need the money. I would do anything sexual. I've already done most of it. She was like, I'm a nymphomaniac. And then she starts talking about how she screwed her psychiatrist. She told her psychiatrist she was a nymphomaniac. And they're like, oh my god, what did he do? It was like, he nailed me. And they're like, what the fuck? And she's like, well, the first couple times. It was like, the first couple times. Like, they're clearly telling this girl she's fucked up. Then it turns back over to Bender asking Claire if she's a virgin again. Like, he's real obsessed with it.
Yeah.
But this time, like, they all gang up on her and, like, screaming at her to answer. And Allison's like, it's a double-edged sword. If you have, you're a slut. And if you haven't, you're a prude. Or you just a tease. And then Andrew, who seems to have personal knowledge of the situation, was like, she's a tease.
Yeah.
Like, he seemed to be on top of it. Or not.
Oh.
Da-da-da. Anyway,
she ends up fessing up that no, she hasn't.
That she's a virgin. But Bender tells her, so sex is your weapon because you say you use it to get respect.
Yeah.
But I do not recall ever asking that about people.
No, because decent people wouldn't do that.
That's so... But I mean, they all ganged up on her.
They all kind of did about being the tease, and when she fessed up about not, or still being a virgin, Allison came clean, was like, yeah,
she's like, yeah, I'm a virgin too. I'm not a nymphomaniac, I'm a compulsive liar.
Yeah.
And she gets pissed.
She's like, you bitch!
You tricked me! I was like, I don't think she had anything to do with it. Andrew tells them that they're all bizarre. Some of them are just better at hiding it.
Yeah, and I think that's true for me.
I feel like should be the tagline of the movie. We're all bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it. It turns into them wanting to know what Andrew did to get there. Because he, athlete, seems to be a good, straight-edged kid here.
So he kind of pulled a prank on a kid. He said he was taping his knee, and then he taped Larry Lester's buns together. And
really beat the shit out of him, too.
Well, he was like, I got on top of him, beat him up a little bit, held him down, and taped his butt together. But I guess he was kind of hairy, so when they ripped the tape off, they took all the hair and some skin.
Yeah. But he clearly felt really bad about it. He said he did it for his dad. That his dad kept talking about all the wild shit he did in high school, and he felt like he was disappointed in it because he had never done anything like that. Which his dad kind of sounded like in the truck, dropping him off. He was like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's just some horsing about. I did that, blah, 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 blah.
But at the same time, you can't do something because you think your dad wants you to do it to be cool. Like, that's all on you. That has nothing to do with your dad.
That's his problem, and they call him on it. He can't think for himself.
Yeah. But you know how you called bullshit on the door kickstand?
Mm-hmm.
I call bullshit on their star wrestler taping his own knee. They didn't have athletic trainers in this fucking museum of a library.
Well, it seemed like it was just after.
No, he was getting ready for practice.
Well,
you know how poor our school was. We had people tape people up. We had trainers. This school has a museum exhibit for the library.
My senior year, we took this communication speech class. And you had to do, one of your speeches had to be a demonstration. And this guy I was in the class with was on the football team. And he decided he was going to do his demonstration on how to tape an ankle. So he gets the tape, gets everything he needs. He does not get scissors. So he has an assistant, so he has somebody else up there. He's taping somebody else's ankle. He gets it all taped up, and he needs to cut it, and he doesn't have scissors, and he's not about to stop in the middle of this speech and ask anybody for scissors, so he leans his face down next to this guy's foot with his craggly ass toes and shit, and starts ripping at this tape with his teeth, and bites this tape in half, and it was the funniest shit at the time.
Yeah, but you don't go to a school like that and tape your own shit up.
So then it goes to what did Brian do to get here? So what did Brian do to get here? He said he's failing shop. He took it because he thought it would be an easy A, to which Bender got very offended.
Well, Bender knew why he thought it would be an easy A.
Yeah.
Because it's like a skills class that most people don't think takes intelligence or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that shit's hard. I wanted nothing to do with any of that. I was damn sure I was going to cut a body part off. I mean, it doesn't help that all of the shop teachers everywhere
had a finger missing.
Have a couple of fingers missing. But he had to make a porcelain lamp shaped like an elephant, and when you pull its trunk, the light's supposed to come on. And he pulled his trunk and the light didn't come on, so he got an F.
I feel like that's a very harsh teacher.
Yeah, that seems rough. I feel like if you get
he made the whole entire thing right. It just didn't light up. So maybe a B, maybe a C.
Yeah, it's rough.
Not an F.
But he decides he can't live with that, so they found a gun in his locker, which turned out to be a flare gun.
Yes, and it went off in the locker.
It went off in the locker and destroyed the elephant lamp.
Yep.
But it's a sign of the times that this guy says, I had a gun in my locker, and everybody immediately knows he was going to kill himself, and wasn't like, oh, you're going to kill all of us, you motherfucker.
Yep.
Because now, if a kid was
Why would you do it at school, though?
Because now if a kid was like, hey, I had a gun in my locker, they're like, you motherfucker! Like, that's definitely a school shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. That's how bad shit is.
Do you get all those TikToks?
About school shootings?
Yeah.
No?
Like...
What the fuck are you liking on there?
I don't like them! Like, I got a bunch of them all at once. Like, where, like, a kid would drop his books, and the other kid would stop and pick it up, and they're like, hey, don't come to school tomorrow, or hey, wear that hoodie tomorrow, or whatever, and then, like, so they're identified, so, like, they're not going to kill them, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, but it's just kids joking about school shootings. Like, I guess that's how they're dealing with it, but, ugh.
Yeah, I can't really knock them for that because I have a fucked up sense of humor.
But you know, like, somewhere their mom's like, what the fuck, you made a video about the, god damn it.
Yeah. Because I know you heard the dark humor ones that I've been getting recently. They're all terrible. They're all fucked up, but they're kind of funny.
Yeah. Anyway, to kind of cut through the tension if Brian was going to kill himself, Allison just spurts out, I can write with my toes.
Yeah.
And Brian's like, I can make spaghetti. And they're like, what can you do, Andrew? And he's like, I mean, I could tape all of your butts together.
Well, then, is this part where Brian gets a little emotional? Asking about if they would still be friends?
Nah.
Okay.
This is Claire's lipstick trick.
Oh.
She's very proud of it.
Her non-talent. She's CEO of Most Useless Talent in 1985.
Yeah, she puts a stick of lipstick, I guess, between her boobs, like in her cleavage, but there's no real cleavage to speak of. And then puts her head down and puts her lipstick on perfectly. She said she learned it at camp in 7th grade. Seems weird. And I definitely remember watching this as a young girl, like, with other girls and then trying, and it does not work out.
I didn't think it would.
We couldn't make it work. They said Molly Ringwald also couldn't make it work.
Yeah, because it's a fucked up thing a dude made up.
Yeah, probably.
Because if...
Like, you know what'd be cool? If a chick could put on her lipstick with her tits.
If Hughes would ask his significant
wife.
other, girlfriend, they would have been like, that's fucking stupid.
Like,
have her do something else.
Definitely weird. Yes, I just tried it. That's why it's not a video podcast. But they're all having fun. She made Bender promise he wouldn't laugh, but he has that burn it down, start a fight at an Applebee's gene in him.
Courtesy of Ricky Bobby.
And, like, they're all having too much fun, and he just starts, like, making fun of her and being mean and nasty and awful, and talk about what a dumb trick it is, and, how much money she has, and she has no worries, and he starts talking about her earrings. He was like, are those real diamonds? I bet your daddy bought those. Probably for Christmas, huh? And she's getting real upset about it. Like, fuck this dude. And
I feel like one of her problems is people feel like she doesn't have any problems because her family's wealthy.
Probably.
And she gets upset by that.
But yeah, he just, Bender has the burn it down gene. Like, everybody was getting along too well. Somebody was like, does this mean we're going to be just like our parents? And they were all like, no, not me. And Allison says, it just happens. When you grow up, your heart dies. Jesus Christ.
It's pretty dark.
That's rough. This is when Brian says, so what happens Monday?
Are we basically asking the group, are we still going to be friends? I mean...
And Claire...
I know what he was saying. I don't think friends was the right word. But, like...
Associate.
They were...
We still gonna, he was like, I would consider you all friends. Like, they've spent 8 hours together.
Yeah.
And Claire just very bluntly was like, no. And somebody called her on it, and she was like, okay. Andrew called her on it. Was like, okay, well, what if he walks up to you while you're in the hallway with your friends? You'll say hi to him, and then when he walks away, you'll clown on him so they don't actually think you're friends.
Yeah. And she wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong. And Bender started talking shit, and she was like, okay, you're any better? Like, your stoner loser friends aren't going to make fun of you if we're seen walking down the hall together? you'd have to tell them you were fucking me just so they would leave you alone. And she's also not wrong. But Brian says, Allison and I are better people than you. Us weirdos are better. We wouldn't do that to you. And Claire pops back with, your friends wouldn't mind because they look up to us.
Yeah. And
damn!
His friends would have gave him just as much shit as the other people. Yeah. It would have been a little more positive. But they would have been making fun of him, not really her.
Right. I can see that. But they called Claire, they're like, what the fuck? Like, you're so fucking conceited. She's like, I'm not trying to be conceited, I'm just telling you the truth. I was like, Jesus!
Well, then they all kind of have a heart-to-heart and come to an understanding that they're not gonna...
Well, Allison, again, defuses the room with, do you know why I'm here? She's like, I just had nothing better to do. But she's a compulsive liar, so I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yeah, I don't know. But I almost believe her, because...
I kind of believe her.
She can't get any attention at home.
Yeah.
And I think, some kids, if they're getting any kind of attention, it's better than none.
Right.
They're all kind of sitting back in the middle of the library where they were. And Claire asked Brian, it's like, you're going to write your paper, right?
Oh, no, wait, we got more.
We got more.
Yeah. First they do their entire big dance number, where they're all dancing together, which seemed weird and out of place. Like, they started playing music, and then they just all started dancing together, which did seem weird and out of place to me. Molly Ringwald said she was the only one that was supposed to dance, but she was too self-conscious. She didn't feel like she was a good dancer, and she wouldn't do it by herself, so they made everybody dance, and she said she regretted it now because it does look weird and out of place, like this random dance break in this movie.
I mean, it's not an 80s movie if you don't have a dance montage, right?
I mean, I guess that's true. So, Bender crawls back through the ceiling, back to his hole. And then Claire, 100%, uses her womanly woes to con Brian into writing the paper for everybody.
Yeah, she was like, you're going to write your paper, right? And he's like, yeah. She's like, well, I don't see any reason why...
We should all have to do it.
Everybody should have to do it.
He's
You're
like,
the smart one. We trust you.
Yeah.
But... At first, I thought he was going to write it and they were going to copy it. But it was the understanding, he was going to write the one paper for the whole group.
Right.
Which kind of made sense.
She said we would all say the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
So Brian goes off writing. And she grabs Allison. She's like, come here. So she gets herself.
Well, hold on. She sees Allison sitting next to Andrew.
Uh-huh.
And Allison kind of, she's like side-eyeing looking at Andrew. Claire sees that. She's like, hey, come here. And I was like, what? She's like, just fucking come here. She gives her a makeover.
She gives her an 80s makeover.
I think she took it a little bit too far. That was a drastic change.
Well, she washed off the black eyeshadow off her face and just did some light makeup. Where'd she get the clothes? I know she
was that under the jacket? Like, was her shirt under the jacket?
I know she had a bunch of clothes in her bag, but I don't think she had that little pink lacy tank top number.
See, that wasn't maybe she stole it.
Maybe she stole it.
it.
Ran down to the home ec room, got a half-finished project.
There you go. So she makes her up, and she comes out to Andrew.
Yeah.
Meanwhile...
And old Andy's into her, now that she's pretty.
I don't think he wasn't into her before.
But he's like, oh, Jesus, whoa.
Because it was just like you get somebody that's all gothed up, and then all of a sudden she's cheerleader church girl.
Brian
you're
is
like, what the
cracking up laughing. She's like, what?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Claire went to the get some dick closet.
To the closet of doom down there. It's real fucked up there, right? Like, she goes in there and she's all flirty, and then she starts kissing him on the neck, and he's like, why'd you do that? And she's like, because I knew you wouldn't. And he said, and I thought this was funny, you said your parents use you against each other. Wouldn't I be great for that?
Yes. It was perfect.
But it's real fucked up that, like, at the beginning of the movie, he threatened to gang rape her. Then he poked her pussy under the table.
I don't think he poked her. His head was there, and I think he got a little too close, and she
And then he has been god-awful to her for like 8 hours during this day.
And how many relationships started this way? And you're like, why the fuck is she with him?
And then in the last second, she's going to go down there and... Do you think it's kind of like a gaslight? He treats me bad because I deserve it. He treats me bad because he loves me. Fucked up thing that some girls do.
I like bad boys.
It's fucking weird, dude.
She wants a bad boy.
I mean, she was taken with him when he started lighting his shoe on fire at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it was fucking weird. So it cuts to everybody leaving for the day. So, Andrew and Allison walk out. They kiss. She grabs the wrestling patch on the side of his Letterman jacket and just jerks it the fuck off. She also has on, like, his, like, not his actual Letterman jacket, but, like his hoodie. She's wearing it. And she jerks the patch off his Letterman jacket and takes it with her. Which was weird.
I didn't see her jerk the patch off.
She did. Like, not this one. Like, not the letter. But, like, the circle one with them wrestling on the side, on the sleeve.
I didn't see her do that. I just saw her have
she
the
jerks
jacket.
it off and takes it with her. And then Claire and Bender walk out, and they're kissing, but he kisses her very aggressively, kind of over the hood of her daddy's BMW while he's sitting in it. And she takes out one of her diamond earrings and puts it in his hand, gives it to him. Like, Daddy's sitting there seeing 100% of all of this.
I wasn't paying attention to him.
Well, you really just kind of tapped out at the end of this movie then, didn't you?
I was just writing down who was with who.
So then, you hear Brian's voiceover reading the essay. And there's just one essay on the table, and it shows the principal reading it. And it shows Bender walking across the football field to leave, and he raises his hand up in victory.
Victory!
And it ends. Yep. What do you think?
It was an alright movie.
Wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be?
No.
There's only 2 rips. John Hughes died in 2009, at the age of 59. And Paul Gleason, who was the principal, died in 2006 at the age of 67 of mesothelioma. So we have recast the movie with people we thought would be good today. Do you want to do that first, or do you want to do the reviews first?
However you want to do it.
Alright, well who are you recasting in yours?
Well, I have lists for
2020
everybody.
version.
2020 version. I think the one that stands out the most, I would say Michael Cera as Brian.
I feel like he's too old.
You could young him up a little bit.
I have Tom Holland.
I have him second.
Or Finn Wolfhard.
Who's that?
The curly-headed kid from Stranger Things.
Okay.
Also have Timothy Chalamet, but I've crossed him off.
Who's that?
He was in Lady Bird. He's in Little Women. Would you just like to see a picture?
Okay. I'm going with Michael Cera or Tom Holland.
I like Tom Holland. Who do you have for Claire?
Claire. I have a list. Emma Stone.
Way too old.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Also way too old.
Yeah,
Those
they're not
people are
that
like
old.
35 years old.
No, they're under 30. Sophie Turner or Selena Gomez.
I have Paris Berlick. She was in some Disney Channel shit. She's very pretty. She looks very kind of pure and demure. And she's Asian American. We gotta unwhite this shit a little bit.
You don't have to.
We do. There are 0 people that are not white in this movie. The closest to any kind of diversity you get is that Emilio Estevez's name.
Maybe they lived in a predominantly white town.
But what do you think of her?
Alright.
I think she'd be a good Claire.
I'm going with... I think I went very literal with how they looked.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases. Who you got next?
Allison.
Basket case?
Yeah.
Maisie Williams.
That's who I have.
I have other people listed. Emma Watson. Kristen Stewart, I think, might be a good one.
Way too old. Oh my god. You cast like a college version of this shit.
Judd Nelson was 26.
Still.
He should be graduated already. Ellen Page, but Maisie Williams was my top.
Maisie Williams is who I have. Who do you have for Bender?
Shia LaBeouf. I know he's old, but
He's real old.
He's old, but he fits that. Like, he could do that.
My Bender is also a little too old, but I think he looks rather young. His name is Noel Fisher, and I know you don't know that name, but you know the person. He is the guy from Shameless.
Okay.
He's like the middle son's boyfriend or whatever in Shameless. I think he would be a very good John Bender.
All right.
Who's next?
I think we only have, well, out of the main characters, we only have...
Okay, who's Andy?
Either Michael B. Jordan or I have Zac Efron could do either Andy the athlete or Bender the criminal. I feel like he could do both.
I have John Boyega.
What was he in?
The Star Wars. Ooh, I've all got in trouble.
Ooh!
The Star Wars. The Star
Boom!
Wars
Roasted!
Movie. Yeah, the Star Wars movie.
Okay.
He was the black guy in Star Wars.
I can see that.
Who you got as the principal?
I had, my first instinct was Ron Perlman.
Okay.
And then I was like, Denzel Washington. But then I was
that's a different movie.
But then I was like, if I move Denzel Washington over to like the janitor who's got all like, I think he could be good. Joel McHale. Because the scene where he spills the coffee and just kind of goes a little bit crazy.
Okay. I have Skeet Ulrich.
Why do I know that name?
Because
Skeet.
He was
Skeet Ulrich.
in Scream. Or you bring Emilio Estevez back and let him be the principal now.
Ooh. That's not bad.
Thank you.
Or Willem Dafoe.
Who you got as the janitor?
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington is not the janitor in Breakfast Club.
It could be.
No, if he's going to be in one of these movies, he's going to give some inspirational Coach Carter-esque bullshit speech.
And he could from the janitor.
Eh.
When he's talking to the principal.
I have Chris Maloney.
Who the fuck is that?
Agent Stabler from SVU.
Okay.
The guy from
kind of looks
Happy. Because he can do crazy kind of well, and I think he could be
Happy.
like a funny, crazy kind of janitor.
He's done more things.
Those were the two things I thought you would remember him from.
He was in Oz.
I didn't watch Oz.
Painful shit.
But
or Hugh Jackman could be the janitor too.
Now, I made my list and was like, damn, I cast $1 billion Breakfast Club, but mine doesn't get anywhere near yours. Jesus.
You said who?
But I thought mine was kind of, a little more diverse. Get some non-whites up in here. So I made mine a little less white because I read this thing that in an Entertainment Tonight interview commemorating the 30th anniversary of the Breakfast Club, they asked Molly Ringwald about a remake, and she said, hopefully not one where everyone is so white. Ali Sheedy chimed in that in addition to being racially non-inclusive, it was non-inclusive to LGBT people and other minorities. Said that Todd Bridges from Different Strokes at the time promised a part by John Hughes in a conversation they had on a flight together. But when Bridges followed up with Hughes' people later that year, they backed out of the deal saying, we don't know how to write for black people.
Whoa.
Said this might illuminate why so many Hughes films, while being very identifiable to both men and women of Gen X in particular, are also racially exclusive.
I understand they want to put more types of people in, but you basically only got 5 kids. You can only put so many in before you're like, they just pieced this together to make everybody happy.
Right.
You can either go what you went with. Sounds to me like he had some stereotype issues that he couldn't get over.
Well, I mean, even last episode when I said we're going to do the Breakfast Club, I was like, there's something in it for everybody to identify with, and you were like, if you're white.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you saw the problem before.
Yeah. Well, yes, I saw the problem, but I was also making a joke. But I'm also not one of those people who gets butthurt when they change a character. Unless it is very specific to that person. Like, I was a little upset that Raiden wasn't of Asian descent in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Because everything about Raiden's character, his hat, his get-up in Mortal Kombat says, I came from somewhere in Asia.
Yep.
Like, if that's an integral part to whatever that character was in a book or whatever, I think it should stay that way. But if it doesn't really matter, then you cast the best person. Or in most movies' cases, you cast the person who's going to sell the most tickets, basically.
So Molly Ringwald also said in 2018 she wrote a piece in The New Yorker, said in which she described watching the film with her 10-year-old daughter. Although she was bothered by scenes of sexual abuse and harassment in this film and other films and material by John Hughes, she stood by the work, recognizing that these issues were a product of the time and that John Hughes' films were still beneficial in helping teens assert their independence and identity. Said that Bender spends most of his time harassing Claire. There's even a scene of implied assault or harassment where Bender bites or touches Claire off scene and she kicks him. I said he poked her pussy. Bender is then rewarded for all of this bullying by having Claire kiss him, give him an earring, and essentially start a relationship with him. Molly Ringwald has been outspoken, especially since the onset of the Me Too movement, about how disturbed she was by all of it, particularly the mixed messages it now sends to her daughter and the next generation, since Breakfast Club is basically a rite of passage movie that all teenagers still see.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So, with our cast and a little less rapey.
Or, because some people are assholes and some people say that shit. More
consequences.
Yeah. Like get punched in the mouth if you say some stupid shit. That's what happens. It doesn't need to involve police or court. What happened to you? I said some stupid shit. What happened? I got punched for it. Okay, that sounds about right.
Oh. So there was, like I said, the movie was originally 2.5 hours long. There was a deleted scene that I screen capped that I think should have stayed in there. I thought it was a good one. It's while Carl and the principal were talking, and Carl predicts where all 5 kids will be in 30 years. You want to hear where he thinks? He says Bender will have killed himself.
Oh.
Claire will have had 2 boob jobs and a facelift. Brian will have become very successful, but die of a heart attack due to the stress of a high-paying job. Allison will become a great poet, but no one will care. Andrew will marry a gorgeous airline stewardess who will become fat after having kids.
That would have made me think less of him.
Of Carl?
Yeah.
Because he's talking shit about these kids?
Just the judgment of it. Because none of them are real good.
No, they're all bad. I think a lot of teachers see you for what, and I mean, I know he was a janitor, but still, see you for what you are then, and don't use their own years of experience to realize that you're still a child and you're not a fully formed, functioning person yet, and you're going to grow and change and become something different. Alright, so now it's time for Ratchet Reviews! You want to take a stab at the
Domometer?
Did you accidentally see it?
No, I think I saw the next one. I'm going to say critics 70.
89.
89. Wow.
Audience of 92.
That's the first one where they kind of match up.
It's beloved. The Breakfast Club is a warm, insightful, and very funny look into the inner lives of teenagers. You ready? 1 star. I really can't see what the buzz about this film is. I've wanted to watch it for a long time after lots of references in films and TV shows I've seen. It appeared to be an iconic film, so tonight we finally sat down and watched it. I was ready to give in after 30 minutes, but preserved, and I assumed something wonderful would happen at some point to make me love it.
Preserved or persevered?
Persevered, but that's not what they said. And I assumed something wonderful would happen at some point to make me love it. Well, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for that moment, and the film ended 10 minutes ago.
Made them feel some type of way.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's just some kids sitting in a library talking about their life. And I know that's probably not super exciting, but I thought it was a good movie, and I don't know what the fuck they're bitching about that this awesome, wonderful moment that should have happened that didn't.
No, I mean, there wasn't a huge climax or anything, but...
It's just about life. It's just, yeah.
But like I said, there was never any point in the movie where I was like, Jesus, get on with it.
That surprises me for you, actually.
But I kind of like... It's kind of a movie that's about something, but at the same time, it's not really about anything.
Is it Seinfeld? It's a movie about nothing.
No, it was a little bit more, but like it's about people are fucking different. Get over it.
Right. But are they different? They're all the same.
We're all different.
You're all fucked up. Half a star. The worst part of this movie was the makeover. And then what? She just changes her whole character to suit the needs of some boy? Disgusting. This set us back at least 50 years. Just go die.
Male or female?
Shavy. I'm assuming female because it said us back.
Have they ever met a teenage girl? Or a teenager at all, period? Because some people, especially in that age, they're trying to fit in with people, will do or say anything just to fit in.
Fair.
So, like, yes, she's not gonna dress like that tomorrow, but then if...
Are you sure? Because it got her an awful lot of attention and some kissies.
I think that just sped up the process. Like, hey, I got all dolled up for you.
Yeah.
But I feel like they were starting to hit it off in the hallway a little bit. Because she started asking about him.
I don't think he liked her solely for that, but I think the makeover probably helped.
Yeah. But
I don't know that it set us back 50 years.
I don't like when people say stuff like that. Because when it boils down to it, as far as relationship goes, there had to be some kind of, moment. Like, oh, she's pretty. Oh, he's hot. Like,
what was your old moment?
You know what my old moment was.
What was your old moment?
Like, there needs to be some type of attraction to begin with to start that conversation.
Apparently that attraction could be boobs, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Half a star. They didn't even eat any fucking breakfast.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Who's that person?
I don't know. It's just a weird screen name.
That person deserves...
That's funny. Alright, last one. 1 star. A completely rudimentary film. A bunch of kids get stuck together in a weekend detention or something to that effect, and find out they're not so different after all. That's the whole film. Done. John Hughes is an overrated wanker. As I write this review, I feel blessed that he is no longer in this world, making these beginner-level films posing as groundbreaking masterpieces. And one more thing. The last-minute makeover was so unnecessary. Like, really? If the whole message of this film was to love and accept yourself for who you are, then why did the nonconformist girl have to mend her ways to be accepted by the other characters? That makes the point of the film completely moot. Nobody else in the gang got a makeover. Why only her?
This person has all kinds of hatred for the world.
Who is thankful
she didn't...
somebody is dead?
Yeah, she didn't change her behavior or anything. Like, Claire decided she thought she was doing something nice for her.
She was, because even Allison said, "Why are you being so nice to me?" And Claire said, "Because you're letting me."
Yeah, like, they were just having a girl moment.
Yeah.
And
they were kind of playing dress up.
Like, she's already said, I don't, like, everybody ignores me. I don't get any attention at home.
Right.
Nobody's giving me any attention. Nobody's teaching me anything.
Which is probably why she wears the black smoky eyeshadow, because Mama ain't being like, "Hey, let me teach you how to do your makeup."
And she said she had no friends.
Right.
Like, she never changed herself for that. Yeah, it happened. But like I said, I think that was on its way anyway.
Right.
It would have taken longer because she's a little crazy and standoffish, but...
This person isn't going to make it through 90s movies at all, because a solid chunk of them are, let's take this plain Jane girl and we can transform her. Like I posted on our TikTok, we could take the ponytail down and take your glasses off, and then you can fuck the starting quarterback and be prom queen by the end of the movie.
What's the movie where they make a bet? about the girl.
She's All That? I don't know.
That came to my mind, but I didn't think that was a movie. Maybe it is.
Yeah. She's All That. High school hotshot Zach is the envy of his peers, but his popularity declines sharply when his cheerleader girlfriend leaves him for a sleazy reality television star. Desperate to revive his fading reputation, he agrees to a seemingly impossible challenge. He has 6 weeks to gain the trust of nerdy outcast Lainey Boggs and help her to become the school's next prom queen.
Why is this high school chick dating this reality TV star?
I don't know. The
Seems
reality TV star is Matthew Lillard. I mean, that makes it more acceptable.
That's sketchy.
And then there was the spoof of it, not another teenage movie or high school movie or whatever with Chris Evans in it.
Not another teen movie.
But my main problem is, who the fuck's happy somebody's dead? Jesus Christ. This guy wrote so many awesome movies. Like, he's responsible for so much happiness in the world.
Not according to that person.
And they're happy he's dead. Like, god damn. So what's your review?
3.5.
Why? What are you mad about, bro?
Not really mad at anything. It's just, that's my score for it.
I don't know that I would give it a 5, but I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. That's fair.
I kind of want to see the 2.5-hour version.
I bet there's some good shit in there. I mean, by good shit, I mean terrible.
No.
Yeah. You probably see what happened to all the diverse people in the...
Oh, God. They do say at one point, like, a swimming team comes in for some reason, and it said that it took him 2 days to write the script for the movie, but then it also said a lot of it was improvised, like, while they're sitting in a circle talking about what they did to get there was improvised. So, like, a lot of, like, the big emotional scenes seem to have been improvised. Like, I'm sure there was, like, an outline written or something, but I was like, well, yeah, if you just let him improvise the whole goddamn movie, then it only takes 2 days to write a script. I said that this was supposed to be his first ever movie, but the studio wanted him to do 16 Candles first. And then this one, which we will also be doing later because I love the shit out of it.
I vaguely remember parts of it. I remember the party. Is there a prom?
No, that's Pretty in Pink. 16 Candles is the birthday. Forgets her birthday. She wants to be with Jack Ryan. It ends with them eating the birthday cake on the glass table. No, huh?
Nope.
Were there any, like, coming-of-age boy movies?
Stand By Me. Goonies.
It doesn't really seem, though.
What? What? runitbackpod@gmail.com.
It's RIBpod.
RIBpod@gmail.com.
Anything else to say about this movie?
No, it's not a bad movie. I think it still kind of holds up.
Yeah, you take all the racism and sexism and F words out of it, and you got you a solid 2020 movie. What are we doing next week?
The Matrix. They're gonna do a 4th one.
A 4th Matrix?
Yep.
That seems unnecessary.
It's gonna release next year. Next February.
Seems real unnecessary.
No. You got some catching up to do.
I guess.
Alright, that's been Run It Back for the Breakfast Club. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah. You can follow us on our social media on Twitter @PodRunItBack, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok @RunItBackPod. Instagram's your best bet. It's where I have the most stuff. Tune in next week for The Matrix. Like us, share us with your friends. If you hate us, share us with your enemies. Everybody will win. Get some revenge. Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we have to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each of us is a brain and an athlete and a basket case, a princess and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.